What is something an ex gave you that you still have? Story 1. The dress she was wearing when I met her. We dated for 3 years, and when we broke up, I was heartbroken to see that in the bag of clothes she was going to donate was that dress. She looked radiant in it that day, and I wasn't entirely ready to let go. Unbeknownst to her, I took the dress from the bag and hid it away as a memento. We stopped talking for 3 years. There were instances in the early stages of grief where I would look at it and cry, but I wanted to remember her for the good times we shared together. Fast forward to a couple years ago, and she reaches out to apologize. By then, I was obviously longing for her. It was a clean and honest breakup, so I told her there was nothing to apologize for. We hung out at my place one day, and somewhere in a conversation about our past relationship, I pulled out the dress to reveal to her that I kept it. The look of surprise on her face, man, and she almost began crying as she hugged me. Later that day, she told me that she told her cousin about how I kept the dress. This particular cousin didn't like me, so when my ex said she awed at it and said that I was a sweet guy, that felt nice. She, my ex, and I hang out and send each other memes every now and then. I love this girl to death, platonically, and would fight tooth and nail for her safety and well-being. She deserves to live a good life. Cheers to the folks who ended things on good terms, and an extra beer to those who couldn't. I still have a hat my ex gave me. About a year after we broke up, amicably, as we decided not to pursue long distance, I posted a picture of me and my sister at Ponce City Market in Atlanta, where I was wearing that hat, and she subsequently blocked me on every social media immediately after. Maybe it made her sad to see it, and she blocked you so she wouldn't have to see things that made her sad anymore? I don't know, but blocking doesn't always mean anger. True, I had to do the same with a girl who I was falling hard and fast for like 6 or 7 years ago. It just stung my heart to see her posts and her smile and think about how things could have been, even though we had plenty of valid reasons to not be together. She was so great, such a fantastic-souled, good human, like the type of person who would leave random notes of encouragement for people on the subway, just because. We held similar interests and hobbies, and there were an eerie degree of odd coincidences we shared. We both lived in the same apartment building, albeit 10 years apart, both played the same character on an old indie game to an extreme degree. I'll add all you others who leveled 100 Blue Knight and Castle Crashers, and our dads both passed away on the same day, 1 year apart. There were a bunch more, but those were the biggies. Anywho, I wasn't in a good place personally when we met, and she was starting to do awesome things with her own life, and we just weren't meant to be. I still ponder about her once in a while, and hope to just know that she's doing well. So I had a girl who was dating someone else, but would use my label maker to type words of encouragement for me and place them around my space. We ended up dating. We broke up, and those freaking stickers are still around. She printed out at least 30 of them and stuck them around my place. P.S. Don't place stickers. So many psychological issues removing them. There are a few I can't bring myself to remove. It's total BS. We still hang a bit, and I legit wish her all the best, but dang it, that "have a nice day" on my door crushes me. Story 2. A pillowcase she quilted for me. That was 40 years ago, and I still have it. I've got 2 bed quilts my ex's mother made for my ex. My ex thought they were tacky because they were made from scrap clothes, as the children grew out of them and have no pattern. I love them. The eclectic materials and colors, and of course, they're warm. They were a gift to her, but because I love them, she brought them over to my house. 8 years later, we broke up. It was summer, and the blankets were packed away, and kind of forgot when she claimed all the other things in my house that were hers. I rang her up that winter to give back the blankets. By now, I knew the story of most of whose patch was whose and what age they last wore a garment. She insisted the blankets were made by my mom and they were ugly. Okay, she wasn't a stuck-up person ever. She had a good relationship with her mother. I think the blankets were a symptom of a problem that went unrecognized until I tried to give them back. Every argument we ever had dealt with her perception of reality being wildly wrong. We broke up because I installed some security cameras at some point due to break-ins, and I could show her what really happened occasionally. These were petty things that mostly didn't matter, things like moving her car. There's nothing wrong with the car, it's just 3 feet from where she knows she parked. No reason for me to do it except to mess with her. Security footage shows no one messed with it except her. That kind of thing was a constant annoyance, and forcing her to see the truth was too much for her. In the end, I got a pair of awesome quilts that I still use. It honestly sounds like she might have some sort of unrecognized, untreated mental health issue related to paranoia, or an actual physical illness, like a benign tumor in her brain that's messing with her memory. If you truly had memory issues and truly thought that certain things did or didn't happen, and then were shown footage completely blasting your perception of reality out of the water, think of how that would make you feel. Maybe you would be so freaked out that you wouldn't want to admit there was something wrong and therefore try to die on that hill. Story 3. This birthday card. It was just very sweet and well written. We broke up on great terms, but I read that card when I'm down. Just found an old birthday card from an ex in an old pile of papers last night. You can feel how true those words were meant at the time. Such weird sensation of melancholy appreciation. I was telling a friend once about how strongly I felt about a high school boyfriend and how I definitely didn't know what love was. He said, "Puppy love is real to the puppies," and I think about that all the time. Even if the emotions I felt at 15 were extreme exaggerations, they were real to me at the time. That's a great way to put it. I had a relationship where, by the end, we weren't treating each other very well, but I still keep a letter he wrote me early on. It was full of hope for us. When I wanted to hate him, I read it to remember we were just two flawed people doing our best. I hate when people discount teenage love and say that they don't even know what love is. I loved my teenage boyfriend in the way that I understood love at the time. He was a terrible human and was horrible to me, but I can't just pretend that I didn't love him. You can't just decide that love didn't count if it didn't work out. We're all just doing our best with the information and experiences that we've had. Love is all of the loves, good and bad. We spend so much time trying to figure out, is this love? Or does this fit into the narrow definition that everyone has for love? Instead of asking, is this love healthy? Is it good love? Is this the type of love that I need? You can love someone, but not be compatible. If anything, we will likely not experience the same level of emotions as we get more mature. I think that's why puppy love is so true and strong and memorable. It's our most unfiltered experience of romantic love from a time when our brain is not fully formed. Story 4. Amazing love letters. She was a beautiful writer and person. I haven't looked at them in a long time, but I like that I have them as proof that I could be loved like that. Same here. My ex wrote in a card that I was someone worth building a life for, even though when he gave it to me, he was in a very rough patch, and we both knew it wouldn't last. For someone to say that in the midst of it all speaks volumes on his character. It's really refreshing to hear of people who are on good terms with their ex. I was with mine for many years after we broke up, though we've lost touch now, and were good friends for a long time. I considered him to be an important person in my life, even if we outgrew each other and went our separate ways. You know, I had some really nice letters and messages from past relationships, pictures too, but later in life, the awful way my marriage ended caused me to violently short-circuit my sentimentality, and I threw away every letter, every memento, every picture. I tried to obliterate every memory of what I was. That's what my ex gave to me. Just to be clear for the people reading this one can flip both ways. My ex and I used to hide little love messages on post-it notes somewhere we'd find later. Was adorable and fun when we were in the relationship, but after the roughest breakup of my life, I just kept finding places, and every time I did, I'd be useless for the rest of the day. P.S. I'm good now. I got the one. Story 5. His childhood teddy bear. Now what the frick am I supposed to do with that? I can't throw it away because that's someone's childhood. But dang, I don't want it because that's weird. Haven't spoken to him in years, and we didn't end on good terms. You should offer to give it back to him, and if he says no, throw it away. There was a guy I went on a few dates with, and I accidentally left my childhood sitting pillow in his truck. We had an awful fourth date, and he drove off and left me stranded somewhere, and I don't even care about that, but I'm so upset that he drove off with my pillow. I know he probably farted all over it just to be a dong because I didn't want to be his girlfriend. But dang, my childhood pillow. I still want it back, but I would disinfect it because I don't want any pink eye. I left my childhood teddy bear with an ex-girlfriend, and I regret it so much now. I have an autistic daughter that loves teddy bears, and I wish I could have given it to her. Any chance yours is named Mr. Bunny? You should email with a link to this post and ask if he wants it back, and offer to ship it. Edit. I say email because it's not as personal as a call, and is sort of passive communication, so you won't get yelled at if there's still bad blood. And offering to ship it, you don't have to meet up and have an awkward interaction. I mean, it could be water under the bridge, but could be a weird thing. But email and shipping, if he wants it, he can get it back. But a call or a message on Facebook or whatever contact info you have, that works too. Story 6. Wedding ring. I had it resized and wore it on my right pinky. Not to remind me of marriage, but to remind me not to let anyone change who I am. Also, 3 amazing kids, and an aversion to men that self-medicate. I kept my engagement ring. He made it. He did hobby metalworking, and he created its design himself based on similar things I'd shown him when we'd go to the Renaissance Fair and watch the professional metalworkers there. The man is long gone, but the ring is gorgeous and well made, and is still one of the kindest, most thoughtful things anyone ever did for me. I don't wear it, but I'll never get rid of it. I had mine for a couple years after we separated, but I just didn't want to have any physical reminders of that relationship anymore. People mentioned just pawning it off, but as badly as my marriage ended, I still didn't want to tie the memory of that ring to such a hateful act. So I took it up to the hill we hiked up the day I proposed to her and left it on the beach we sat on. It felt kind of spiritual, and not knowing what happened to it after is nice. I like to assume it can be the ring for someone else's marriage that'll hopefully work this time around. I have my wedding ring. It hangs on the back of the closet door on a chain. I used to have it there as a reminder to try and do better. Good times. Story 7. My ex-wife was a big part of me getting off drugs and alcohol, so to me, she gave me sobriety. I wanted to be that person. He was addicted to alcohol and weed, but the gambling was just too much. As someone who burned down the entire relationship and only then got sober, don't beat yourself up. It's not in your power to control or help, like at all. And sometimes the thing that helps is leaving. That's the most influential thing you can do. And if you did that and it didn't help, it's not on you. No one can make that choice for them. No one can make them see. It takes what it takes, and sometimes it feels like it takes a miracle. Story 8. She sewed a sweater for my childhood teddy bear because the one he originally had was lost in the laundry, and there is no way I could ever get rid of that. Came here for STDs, got wholesome instead. Seriously, I expected a ton of herpes jokes. I was wondering how far down I would have to go to find something wholesome. Instead, I had to look for something that wasn't. I'm calling this thread a win and checking out. She gave that to your teddy bear. It's not yours to get rid of. Facts. Story 9. PTSD. Correction, STD. I still need PT. I need some TP. It kills me, to be honest. I didn't know betrayals could hurt so much. I have other issues from my parents, but the betrayals, abuses, and infidelities from my ex-husband have destroyed so much in me. Because when we married, wasn't that a promise he wouldn't be that person? I couldn't pick my parents, but I chose my husband. Story 10. In 1972, a boy gave me a St. Christopher necklace. I did not know it at the time, but later found out that it meant we were going steady. We were a couple for a few months until he tried to kiss me. I got scared and broke up with him. I tried giving him the necklace back, but he insisted I keep it. I still have it. It's traveled all over with me, and it's kept me safe. Thanks, James. I will always remember you. This is kind of cool because St. Christopher is the patron saint of travelers. I think you probably know that, OP, but others might not. Story 11. A freaking 800-pound piano, and I don't play. And it's in the way. And does anyone want a free piano? Pianos are almost always free. It's the moving part that's expensive. My parents bought me a baby grand piano for my quinceañera. Played it for years, but then I moved out and didn't have the space to keep it. My parents had no use for it, so my wealthy cousins in Central America offered to take it, and pay for the shipping, obviously, so it could stay in the family. It cost about $6,000 to get it shipped there, and that was back in the 2010s. Story 12. My mattress. His was brand new and way better than mine, so we scrapped it. When he cheated and I kicked his butt out, he let me keep it. I mean, he definitely sucks, but I got a bomb butt mattress upgrade and paid nothing. I've been sleeping on secondhand mattresses my whole life. I saved up $1,000 for a nice one, and then my house flooded and I had to toss it. So angry. My memory foam isn't too bad now, but that mattress was awesome, and I only got about 2 years out of it. Story 13. When I was 16 and still learning to shave, my girlfriend would tease me about missing the spot behind my jaw and ear. I still refer to it as Amanda's spot, and always make a conscious effort to remember to shave there. This is somewhat interesting, stands out in this thread for me. Don't feel so bad about missing that spot though. It must be difficult to shave when you've got a jaw/ear. My ears are neatly placed on the sides of my head, so they're nice and out of the way. Story 14. A Clear Quartz my ex gave to me 20 years ago. I thought I'd lost it for over 15 of those years. My ex passed away July 2021, and I couldn't stop wishing I had that quartz back for weeks. One day, while playing with my son in our backyard in a new town, I noticed something shiny in the wood chips. It was the quartz he had given me. I still can't believe it. It's always in my view now. I love that you found the quartz, but how did it get to the new town? Did you have it when you moved there and lost it whilst living there, then found it again? Story 15. A beautiful guitar I never learned to play. I gave it to my son, and he's keeping the tradition alive by not learning either. This guitar, it is a family heirloom. It is now your time to inherit it. But you must never play it. But why, Mother? Is it valuable? No, our family has vowed to never learn to play the guitar. Story 16. Trust issues. Thanks a lot, Nancy. Better than herpes. You can only get herpes once. Trust issues you can get over and over. And like herpes, you can give people trust issues for the rest of their lives. The gift that keeps on giving. Most people don't realize that they have all damaged their exes for their future relationships. Story 17. I'm not on fond terms with my ex, but she bought me an Arctic seal plushie from the New England Aquarium back when we were in middle school. We dated throughout middle school through early high school. I named him Seal Phantom Hive. Props if you get the pun. And he became something of a comfort item to me, even after we broke up. I still have him to this day. That is such a middle school name for a plushie. Source, watched it in middle school. Story 18. Herpes. I'm surprised how far I scrolled before seeing this. I really expected it to be top. Herpes was my first thought. Me too. I was expecting a lot of STDs coming out early. Sometimes they take a minute to show up. Story 19. Still have a great wallet from 14 years ago that my ex gave to me. Probably the only thoughtful thing she ever did. I still have and use my wallet from an ex from 8 years ago. Most of the card holders don't hold cards anymore, but hell, it's Green Day. Story 20. Weirdly enough, academic confidence. She's the only one that's pushed me to go back to college after I dropped out, and now that I think about it, that might have been one of the last conversations we had. The short of it was her telling me to stop messing around and apply myself because she knew I was intelligent enough, but I was lazy. I've graduated twice since then. Story 21. A really beautiful wooden topographical map of a lake near my hometown. I love maps. It fits my decor style perfectly. Plus, he only visited my hometown like 3 times in those 2 years we were together, so it reminds me of home more than anything. What a unique and thoughtful gift. Story 22. Directions on how to make her come. Sadly, directions are not transferable to other women. Turns out the controls are different for everyone. Just keep going till you find the right woman it works on. It's a better version of Cinderella. Story 23. 1976 Black Ibanez Les Paul custom copy and a kid. Which do you love more? Kidding. I would never make you choose, but I notice you wrote the guitar first. Story 24. The inability to make a romantic connection with anyone new. Also, a cool watch. 8 years later, and I haven't felt romantic interest in a single human being since. Also, this leather wallet. Story 25. First guy I slept with gave me a leather rose. I still have it all these decades after. It's not looking so good, but it's still around as a keepsake. Story 26. A massive gaping hole in my heart. She was killed by a drunk driver on her way back from a prenatal checkup. Story 27. A stuffed animal. Only because I can't find it in me at all to throw away a stuffed animal. It has feelings. Story 28. A crunchy mug from an Easter egg. Still my daily mug over 15 years later. I also have a mug, Hershey's Kiss, that I use every day just because it's the perfect size. Story 29. The knowledge of what red flags look like. The reddest of the red flags. Story 30. My dog. He's outlasted several relationships. Such a good boy. Story 31. Trauma. Trauma buddies. High five. Please leave your stories in the comments. I'd love to make a video of them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.